And our first guest is Genie Milgrom. She has a very fascinating life story. Born and raised as a Roman Catholic in Cuba, she went on a long journey peeling back the layers of time to her Jewish ancestors in Spain and Portugal before, during, and after the Inquisition, and the centuries of crypto-Jewish rituals that her family kept in the New World. Hello and welcome.
Oh, it's incredible, Emily, to be here with you. Thank you so much.
You are such a role model for so many people because you were really kind of the first to say, you know what? I'm going to find this out and figure it out. I just want to start with, without even opening this paper is literally 500 years of genetics that you've been able to uncover.
Absolutely. These are 15 grandmothers and all of their children and all of their siblings going back. This one only goes back to 1545.
Only?
I've been able to go back to 1405.
That's incredible. How long did this take you?
About a decade.
A decade?
A decade. This took a decade.
What commitment and what work. And I think now looking back to talk about kind of your childhood, I know that you grew up Catholic, something felt off. Like, looking back, do you realize you knew from a young age this was going to be your destiny?
No, absolutely not. I just didn't feel that I belonged to the place I was in and the people and the ritual. I had Catholic school all through college, from nursery school through college, and I was a religious person, or spiritual, whatever we call it these days, but I wasn't buying the whole. I felt weird. I felt different. My parents never went to church. My grandmothers never went to church. They would drop me off on Sundays, pick me up after the Mass, and that's when I was like, what's going on here? Families go to services together. I went alone with my sister. So it was just kind of, there was something always like edging off as I was growing up. Finally, I did, that off was me looking towards Judaism, but only realizing that later.
Right.
As a college student.
Right. So once you went on that journey, I know you were married, you're remarried, you're full on a Jew now, but explain why your own grandmother and mother were kind of like, it sounds like they were like, don't go there.
Well, I think it was not, because they were part of a very old-fashioned Cuban high society, very elite. And it wasn't Cuban high society elite to be Orthodox Jew, and I converted Orthodox on my own before I knew any of this existed.
Wow.
I went through a 5.5-year Orthodox Beit-Din conversion in Miami, and it took everything out of me. I lost all my friends. I lost all my family. My mom was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But my grandmother, who's on the cover of this book, my grandmother was teaching me Jewish customs in the kitchen the whole time without saying they were Jewish customs.
Wow.
How to cut the egg, how to check for blood, how to take a little bit of challah, put it in a aluminum foil, throw it in the back of the oven, and all of these, checking for insects in the eggs, in the vegetables, all of this type of stuff she was teaching me. And then she never actually said she was Jewish, but she did tell me almost every day. And she was at my second marriage to Michael under the chuppah, and she said, what you're doing is so dangerous.
We're going to take a quick break, so stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with much more with Genie Milgrom and her very, very interesting and deep, profound journey. Welcome back. We are here with more from Genie Milgrom, who has spent well over a decade on her journey of discovery and doing something about it. That's for sure. Like, just sitting on the counter right here are 3 books. It started with my 15 grandmothers. You now have a recipe book of your 15 grandmothers. Let's pick up on that, because you said your grandmother was kind of teaching you without saying the words. So what did you discover in the recipes?
So in the recipes, there's Inquisition recipes. There's recipes like the Maimonides cake. There's recipes of things that in other villages were known to be eaten on the fast of Purim, because women were always observing the fast of Purim. And there's this pork chop that women were making, and then the family was burning a real pork chop in the fire, and the pork chop was made like a French toast. So these are Inquisition recipes that were just passed down, and I could see the diaspora of the grandmothers via the recipes, where they went, the ingredients that were being used. And I found that only after my mom got Alzheimer's, because she would never have given them to me directly. She really struggled with this. But at the end of the day, one day before she went into Alzheimer's, my mother actually told my rabbi that she wanted to return to the Jewish people.
Wow.
And I lit candles with her, because I did do a conversion, and then with all of this, I got a return from the Beit Din Gadol here in Jerusalem. And then my mother told my rabbi this, and one day later, she went into Alzheimer's the day after she lit candles for the first time, after all these years.
Wow.
And then she died several months ago, but from 2014 until several months ago, she was in Alzheimer's. It was her last conscious.
Also, explain to us a bit about, I love the story about the French toast, and they threw it in to trick people,
right?
Essentially,
exactly.
Correct?
Yes.
So, what other, tell us about? I know that you traced your family to a town right at the northern border, Spain and Portugal,
yes.
And that you have all these female ancestors who were all martyred, died at the stake.
Died at the stake, and they didn't used to call it for Judaism. They called it for the law of Moses. So they would try to get them to convert, because if you converted at the last minute while the stake was burning, they would do you the favor of chopping off your head before they burned you so it wouldn't hurt. And not a one of them did. So the fact that my grandmothers and my great aunts and everyone, it was such a strong line of women, how can I not go around the world speaking about them?
Thank you so much, and really, you're such a role model to so many people who are on this journey. So
thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.